Thanks for coming in on such short notice, Gina. I knew it wasn't good the second I walked into the deputy mayor's office and saw HR already seated. Her fake grin was already locked in place, and the packet on the table was at least half an inch thick. That was never a good sign. My name's Gina Novak. I'm 41 and I live in Everett, Washington. Or at least I used to live for Everett. I'd been leading infrastructure planning for 6 years. Built half the city's post-pandemic rebuild plan with my own hands and a pile of unpaid overtime. The deputy mayor, Stuart Lennox, king of buzzwords and hair gel, gestured for me to sit like we were about to discuss weekend plans. "We're doing a bit of a strategic realignment," he said, like that was supposed to mean something. "This isn't a reflection on your performance, just a shift toward innovation and adaptability." HR slid the packet toward me. Way too thick for a normal severance. Effective September 1st, the Planning and Infrastructure Coordinator role will be dissolved. Dissolved, I repeated. My voice didn't crack. I didn't blink. I just stared at the line in the document where my name used to be. Lennox jumped in. "We're moving toward leaner leadership structures, agile thinking. We think this will open up space for fresh perspective." That's when I knew. "You're replacing me with Kyle." No one said yes. No one had to. Kyle, the 22-year-old intern with more LinkedIn buzzwords than actual hours worked. I'd trained him on the city's backend system. He once asked me how to freeze columns in Excel. That Kyle. HR cleared her throat and started outlining the severance. 2 months' pay, career transition services, a non-disclosure clause so dense it practically hummed. "You'll need to return your badge and city-issued laptop by end of day," she added without looking up. I stood up. No thanks, no handshake, just silence. Walked straight out, past the wall of fake awards Lennox had hung up. Half of them were for projects I led. When I hit the stairwell, I tapped my badge. Nothing. Already deactivated. Quick note. Before we start, how's your day going and where are you joining from? I didn't say a word, just shoved the badge into my coat pocket and took the stairs 2 at a time. I reached the bottom of the stairs and walked through the 3rd floor like a ghost. My old department sat in the same open workspace we'd fought for 2 years ago. More windows, natural light, less back pain. I'd won that battle with a cost-benefit analysis so tight even finance couldn't argue it. Now, they didn't even look up. Brittany, who I'd helped prep for her first budget meeting, was glued to her screen. Leo, who couldn't write a project timeline without me holding his hand, didn't blink when I passed behind him. Even Kyle sat at my old desk like he'd earned it. My coffee mug, stolen. The framed project photo with the ribbon cutting, gone. He was talking to someone over Teams, headset on, nodding like a damn bobblehead. "Yeah, we're still locking down implementation," I heard him say. "I think we're almost there." I didn't stop, didn't give them the satisfaction. Once I got home, I dumped the badge in the junk drawer and powered up my laptop. It hadn't been deactivated yet. Rookie move. Out of habit, I opened Outlook. The calendar still loaded. There it was. Town revitalization. Final approval review. Tomorrow at 10, still set as a recurring meeting on my old calendar, now owned by Infrastructure General. The agenda was copy-pasted from my original doc, bullet for bullet. Transit flow model, mine. Mixed zoning overlays, mine. Water management split-level grid, mine. Everything but my name. I scrolled to the bottom and opened the blueprint attachment, not the PDF version, the editable city file hosted in the internal system, the one that tracked user credentials. The system took a second to load, then a window popped up in the corner. Owner G. Novak, Final Implementation Authority active. I leaned back in my chair. They hadn't changed the ownership permissions. It was buried deep, 3 levels into the system registry under the Urban Infrastructure Protocol schema. I'd wired it that way after the 3rd time Kyle deleted something critical by accident. That had been 2 months ago. I opened the back-end permissions panel, still showed me as the sole authority on final implementation for infrastructure revisions, site deployment, and zoning release. Kyle had access to view, but he couldn't push anything live. City policy required final sign-off from the listed owner, and the digital key had to match the original credential. No one had asked me to transfer it. No override requests, no changelog, nothing. So they'd kept the blueprint, kept the system, even kept my meeting invites. But tried to erase me like I was the paperclip in the corner. I stared at the screen for a second. Then I hit print screen. Saved the file in 3 places: cloud, backup, external drive. Just in case they woke up and tried to cover their tracks. I checked the system's version history one more time. Last edit by me. Revision 5C, Final Draft Approval Framework. Dated 2 weeks ago. Kyle had opened it 5 times since then. 0 changes. I closed the laptop. Let them have their little meeting. It wouldn't go anywhere without me. My laptop dinged. New email. Subject line, exciting transitions ahead. I already knew who it was from before I clicked. Stuart Lennox, deputy mayor, professional backstabber. The email was a masterpiece of empty words. Synergy, agility, forward-thinking solutions. Buried halfway through the nonsense was the real gut punch. We're thrilled to announce Kyle Monroe as Acting Lead Infrastructure Coordinator. Acting Lead, not even interim. Just tossed him the title like a party favor. I scrolled down. There was a photo. Kyle in a blazer too big for him, standing in front of a wall map I made. I recognized the drawing behind him. My Phase 2 development overlay, watermarked and everything. He'd cropped the watermark out. Amateur. I was about to delete the email when something caught my eye. A folder share alert. From inside the city network. A planning file tagged to my old credentials. Someone had tried to attach me to an internal review draft. I opened the city's Cloud Doc hub. My old folder was still there, half archived. At the top, a file I hadn't touched in 3 weeks. Opened yesterday, modified today. Lead planning grid flow rev. Final V2. Classic. And guess who edited it? Kyle. Except every time he saved a change, it kicked back a permission error. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number, no message. Then a second buzz, this time a text from a number I recognized. Leo, check your email. I sent something you'll want to see, not from my city address. 30 seconds later, it landed. Gmail attachment, JPEG, blurry screenshot of an internal Teams chat. Username redacted, but not enough. I could still make out Onro in the side pane. Do we have access to Gina's core plans yet? Her files are still showing active. Anyone got her final zoning key? Kyle says she probably forgot to deactivate it. Forgot? Number I hadn't forgotten a damn thing. I opened my secure login vault. Government credential database, 2-factor auth, biometric check. Still valid. Inside the interface under Zoning Control Master Cert, it said, Owner, Gina Novak. Status, active revocation date. Not assigned transfer logs. None still mine. I clicked through to the zoning approval matrix. This was the core, the part no one ever looked at unless they were pushing something live. The system wasn't just a formality, it was a lock. You needed the digital certificate plus active authentication from the original owner. There it was. The zoning database was still wired to my personal keychain. Every green light, every land use finalization, every phase deployment, they all bottlenecked at this one system. And no one could change that without either my login or an official override request signed off by legal and reviewed by IT. No override had ever been filed. I triple-checked. I leaned forward, staring at the control panel. They'd built the whole launch on top of my work, but they hadn't thought to check who held the foundation. I tapped into the access logs. Kyle had tried to submit changes twice this morning. Both times, rejected. Reason? Missing digital cert/invalid credentials. They were stuck. They just didn't know it yet. I backed out of the system without touching anything else, logged out clean. Let them squirm a little longer. I pulled out my phone and scrolled to the bottom of my contacts list. Mason R. Georgetown Law Compliance. We hadn't talked in a while, not since his wedding 2 years ago. But Mason was the guy you called when the line between legal and technical got messy. I hit call. He picked up on the third ring. Gina? Wow, long time. Yeah, sorry for the out of nowhere. You got 2 minutes for a hypothetical? He laughed. If this is about your HOA again, I swear. It's not. This is bigger. Say a public-private zoning system, regional, municipal level, was still technically tied to a former employee's credentials, like real access, final approval controls. Could that person still legally own those permissions if the system was never transferred? He paused. Still have access? Still shows them as the owner? Yeah, no override filed, no revocation processed. Just left open. Was it tied to personal credentials? Yep, 2-factor, registered to me, email, and biometric. Then it's yours, he said, no hesitation. That's not even a gray area. If they didn't formally revoke or reassign the certs, and especially if you were the original infrastructure signatory, Then legally, it's still under your control. System says what the system says. What if I left the job? Doesn't matter. They were supposed to transition ownership through IT and compliance. If they didn't, you're still the digital authority. Most systems like that treat certs like property. I let that sink in. They'd need your permission or a court order to touch it now, or an override logged and documented through internal channels. You seeing any of that? Not a thing. Then you're holding the keys, Gina. After we hung up, I grabbed the severance folder I hadn't bothered to read the first time. Clause 12. Employee retains any credentialed software access not explicitly revoked prior to separation unless otherwise outlined by written agreement. Clause 14. Employee retains discretionary control of proprietary systems authored or maintained by said employee, unless certificate transfer is confirmed and logged. I flipped through the appendix. No transfer documents, no override permissions, no admin form signed by me. Just a lot of vague language about cooperative offboarding. They'd sign this. HR legal. The whole damn building. I double-checked the control panel. Same message. Owner G. Novak. Active transfer logs. None revocation. Not initiated. They thought they cut me out. But the one system that could make or break their entire redevelopment plan still had my name etched across the bottom like a signature on granite. I opened the document archive again and downloaded a clean copy of the zoning cert history, dropped it in a labeled folder. Local greater than legal, greater than control, greater than confirmed. Then I saved a backup on an external I hadn't used since my last home Reno. If they wanted to push this thing forward, they'd need the certificate. And I wasn't handing it over. Not until I decided it was time. I didn't have to go looking for it. It showed up right in my feed. New Everett plan banner photo of the deputy mayor grinning like he just invented electricity. Hard hat tilted back, holding a tiny golden shovel at a site that hadn't broken ground yet. Behind him, my project board, slapped on a metal stand like a carnival prize. Caption: proud to lead this historic effort alongside brilliant young minds like Kyle Monroe. Big things coming to Everett. I snorted into my coffee. Then came the local political blogs, the kind run by bored ex-reporters and overly caffeinated grad students. One headline read, Kyle Monroe brings fresh eyes to Everett's future. Fresh eyes. The guy couldn't navigate GIS software without crashing the viewport. The article recycled half the city's press release, added in some LinkedIn quotes, and called Kyle's role bold and disruptive. Disruptive, sure, like handing a toddler the remote during a live broadcast. Every time I saw his name next to my work, it made my jaw tighten, but I didn't flinch. Not anymore. Because behind all the marketing, all the PR fluff and hashtags, the plan still needed one thing: my zoning key. I logged back into the system to check. No changes, still locked, still mine. No revocation attempt, no override, nothing. I opened the recent access logs. Kyle had tried again yesterday, twice, rejected both times. Same error. Missing digital certificate. Finalization failed. Let him keep swinging. That afternoon, I got curious. Dug through the city's public records portal, clicked through to council meeting archives. The most recent video popped up, grainy webcam footage of a Tuesday planning session. I skipped to the 15-minute mark. There he was. Kyle, standing at the podium, collar wrinkled, paper shaking slightly in his hand. One council member asked, "Can you walk us through the zoning compliance process?" Kyle froze, then flipped a page and mumbled something about auto-authentication. Wrong. Another asked, "Are all systems confirmed for launch Friday at 10?" He nodded too fast. "Yes, I believe everything's aligned and ready for submission once the data sync is finalized." Buzzword salad. Total panic under the surface. The video cut to the mayor whispering something to Stuart Lennox, who stared at Kyle like he just watched a puppy pee on his loafers. I rewatched the moment twice. Didn't smile, didn't need to. They were bluffing hard. Launch was close, and they had no idea they were sitting on a dead switch. Later that night, I got an automated email from the city's legacy calendar system. It still had me listed as a fallback admin. Event update, city infrastructure. Rollout, final submission date, Friday time, 10 a.m. Location, remote broadcast. They really thought it was happening. I clicked open the blueprint again, my final signed-off version. My initials still embedded in the metadata. Not a single asset had been reassigned. I closed the window and leaned back. Let the circus roll on. Let them hashtag the hell out of it. Friday 10 a.m. was coming, and they were walking straight into a wall. Right after I closed out of the blueprint, a new email dropped into my inbox. Subject line: Strategic Opportunity, Confidential Inquiry. No company logo. Just a plain text message from someone named Claire R., Senior Talent Director. I clicked it. Hi, Gina. We've been reviewing your work in public infrastructure strategy. A new private development firm is looking to expand in the Everett region. Your profile stood out. They're seeking a lead strategist for regional planning and acquisition support. High-value role, full autonomy, generous compensation. Are you open to a quick conversation this week? No fluff. No fake interest. Just straight to the point. I replied within 10 minutes. She responded in 3. Next morning, we were on a call. Claire sounded sharp, East Coast fast talker, but locked in. The firm's moving quickly, she said. They're circling a few municipalities for early-stage private acquisition. Everett's high on the list. Of course it was. All that shiny PR from Lennox's campaign made it sound like a gold mine. What do they need from me? I asked. They want someone who knows the landscape, strategically, politically, and, most importantly, technically. She paused just long enough. They're aware of your recent separation from City Hall and your involvement in the core zoning systems. I didn't say anything. Claire continued. Let me be clear, Gina. They don't want access to anything illegal. They're not asking for sabotage. But they do need a professional who understands the stakes and has the leverage to negotiate accordingly. She sent the offer package that afternoon. Base salary, 30% above what I made at the city. Bonus tier, aggressive, equity options, unheard of. Title, Regional Director of Strategic Development. I opened the internal memo attached to the file. Standard org planning document. But halfway down, under Risk Factors, Zoning Delays, my name was listed. Outstanding digital access to public zoning certs retained by G. Novak. Unresolved. Status, unconfirmed. They knew. They didn't even try to dance around it. They saw what City Hall missed, who held the real keys. At the bottom of the email, Claire had written one line. Decision deadline is Friday morning. Perfect timing. I signed the digital offer, typed my full name, and clicked submit without blinking. No counter, no pause, no hesitation. An hour later, HR from the firm sent the onboarding packet. They didn't waste time. Health benefits already set up. Laptop shipping tomorrow. I checked the footer on the email. The domain didn't end in .com. It ended in .capital. This wasn't a consulting gig. This was real money. Serious investors. They weren't playing politics. They were playing for the land, and they wanted someone who didn't just understand the game, someone who already rewrote the rulebook. I closed the offer packet and leaned back. If Everett wanted a clean rollout on Friday, they had one last shot. Me? And now, I had something better. I logged in just past 8 a.m. Thursday. Quiet, no alerts. My credentials still worked like nothing had changed. Two-factor verified, full dashboard access, no revocation flags. No one from City Hall had even tried. I opened the zoning control panel and pulled the action log. Kyle had been busy. Dozens of failed attempts, all stamped with the same rejection code. Authorization error, missing final cert. He tried uploading a new site plan. Blocked. Tried pushing a district overlay update. Denied. Tried resubmitting the same file 5 times in a row. Rejected every time. The system didn't care how many times he clicked submit. It was coded to obey the rules. And the rule was simple. No Gina, no go. I didn't touch a thing, just watched. Then I opened my calendar. Not the city one. My personal synced calendar. The one they forgot was tied to back-end infrastructure scheduling when they built the system. Created a new event. Title, Revoke Access. Time, Friday, 9:59 a.m. Location, Zoning CERT Master Panel. Admin command. 1 minute before their big moment. Set the reminder to silent. No notifications. Just a quiet entry in the system. I clicked save. Then I sat back and watched them dig their own hole. Social media was in full campaign mode. Lennox posted 3 times before lunch. Photo in front of the new Civic Commons. This is what zero delay progress looks like. New Everett plan. A selfie with a group of interns in branded hard hats. Proud to mentor the next generation of leaders. Big launch coming this Friday. Then a 10-second video of Kyle talking into the camera. We're doing something bold. Clean tech, smart grids, urban density. All coming together tomorrow. I rewatched the clip. His voice shook on the word density. Behind him was a sitemap pulled straight from my Revision 5 C draft. I clicked back to the control panel and refreshed the logs. 2 more failed attempts, just minutes old. I could see the sequence clear as day. File upload, submit cert, error, submit cert, error reboot session, submit cert, error. They were stuck in a loop and didn't even realize it. No admin override filed, no IT intervention, no legal backup. They thought this was a done deal, that no one would notice the critical piece missing from the machine they'd hijacked. But the system didn't run on press releases or hashtags. It ran on access. And I still had the only key. Friday was coming. I didn't have to do anything else. They were walking straight toward the edge, and I had the timestamp ready. I was already logged in when the live stream started. The city's website had slapped a giant banner across the homepage. 0 delay launch. Live now. Below it, a choppy embedded video feed showed the makeshift stage out front of the Civic Commons. Folding chairs in rows, white pop-up tents. Too much sunshine for the amount of confidence being faked. At 9:58 a.m., Stuart Lennox stepped up to the mic, beaming like he'd just been elected governor. He adjusted his tie and waved to someone in the crowd. Then he launched straight into the speech. Today marks a new era for Everett. After years of hard work, innovation, and cross-sector collaboration, we are proud to finalize the most ambitious revitalization initiative in city history. I sipped my coffee, still hot, still quiet. Kyle stood behind him, stiff, arms awkwardly crossed. He kept shifting his weight like he had to pee. Lennox went on, "This isn't just about buildings and roads. It's about reimagining how we live, work, and move through the city. And we couldn't have done it without the incredible leadership of our young visionary, acting lead coordinator Kyle Monroe." Applause from the hand-picked crowd. I didn't hear a single clap from the city staff section. I glanced at the corner of my screen. 9:59. Opened my calendar, clicked the event, revoke access, 9:59 a.m., marked it complete. That's all it took. No confirmation box, no sound effect. Just a green check mark in the corner of the admin console. 1 second later, the stream zoomed in on Kyle stepping forward. He cleared his throat, fumbled with the city-issued tablet, and spoke into the mic like he was announcing a new app. "Today we submit the final zoning cert to greenlight the implementation protocol for the new Everett plan. We're proud to mark this moment with full digital alignment." He tapped the screen. The feed cut briefly to a screen capture from the city's internal system. Live view of the zoning dashboard. A single spinning icon appeared. Then, error authorization failed, missing digital owner key. Right below it, in smaller red font, submit request rejected. Cert authority not found. For a full 2 seconds, no one said a word. Then Lennox leaned over Kyle's shoulder, whispering something with a smile that cracked halfway through. Kyle tapped the tablet again. Same result. He tried refreshing. Error again. The camera panned to the mayor, sitting in the front row with his arms folded. His smile vanished. Lips pursed. He turned to one of his aides. The aide stood up immediately and walked off screen. The crowd started murmuring. A few staffers in the background huddled near a laptop, one pointing at the screen and shaking her head. Then my laptop buzzed. Email. From Stuart Lennox. Subject. Quick call. Body. Gina. Are you available for a quick call this morning? Really need your insight. Please let me know ASAP. No signature, no smiley, just panic. I stared at the message, then closed the tab. Back in the calendar, the event was still checked off. Done. Final. They'd gone live with no key, no backup, no clue. I muted the live feed and let it play out while I cleaned the kitchen. Every time I passed the screen, someone different was trying to salvage the moment. One guy was on his phone, another pacing, Kyle blinking too fast. They'd built the whole damn event on top of a locked door, and I was the one holding the handle. By noon, it was everywhere. Local blogs went full shark mode. Town redevelopment stalled by missing access. Digital lock halts Everett launch. City caught unprepared. Deputy mayor blindsided by cert error. Even Everett Watchdog, normally a ghost town, posted 4 articles in 2 hours, each one nastier than the last. Inside City Hall, it turned into a feeding frenzy. I got a forwarded screenshot from Leo around 1 p.m., an internal Slack thread blowing up with confused messages. Did anyone file the cert handoff? Why is she still showing as system owner? Can legal override this without her? Short answer, no. An hour later, the city scheduled an emergency council meeting. Not public, internal calendar only, password protected Zoom. I didn't have access, but I didn't need it. A council member I'd worked with before, Marisol Timmons, sent me a private email with no subject line. They're pointing fingers. No one actually knows who was supposed to handle the cert transfer. It says they flagged it in June. Legal never followed through. Nobody can fix it now without admitting they screwed it up. At the bottom, she added, honestly, I hope you're doing okay. They used you. You didn't deserve that. I didn't reply, I just archived it. A few hours later, the mayor's press office posted a weak statement online, something about unexpected infrastructure alignment delays. The comments section got brutal. Someone uploaded a clip from the live feed and froze it on the red error message. It was everywhere now. By evening, the business blogs caught wind. One headline hit different. Key investors stall Everett funding amid zoning uncertainty. I clicked through. They quoted a source from one of the regional real estate firms. We're pressing pause until the city clarifies system access and digital cert governance. Translation, the money's pulling out. Then came the best part. I got a system-generated alert from my new job, Standard HR Digest. At the bottom was a line labeled, Status Update, Regional Acquisition, Everett Site, Update, Delayed. Reason, Pending Zoning Control Audit. I stared at that sentence for a long second. It was surgical, clean, no drama, just one line that said everything. The private firm had hit pause, not because they were nervous, but because they were smart. They weren't about to buy land that the city couldn't unlock, all because the people running the show didn't bother reading the fine print. I refreshed the city's media page one last time before logging off. Lennox had gone quiet. Kyle's LinkedIn still hadn't been updated. The mayor's Twitter account hadn't posted since noon. It was like the whole building just froze. And the lock? Still mine. It was almost midnight. No alerts, no emails, no live streams buzzing in the background, just quiet. I sat at my kitchen table, fingers wrapped around a cup of coffee that hadn't gone cold yet. For once, the city was done scrambling. Everyone had gone dark. Nobody had followed up. No one called. No apology. No threats. Nothing. I opened my laptop one last time, logged into the zoning control panel, two-factor, biometric, verified, still full access. There it was, same screen, same authority status. Owner, G. Novak. I hovered the cursor over the final action. One last button. Revoke certificate number second guesses. No satisfaction, just time. I clicked, the screen blinked. No warning. No flare. Just a green check mark in the top right corner. Status. Revoked. That was it. System locked itself down for reassignment. Admin rights now dormant. Pending full legal transfer. Clean. No damage. Just done. I backed out, logged off, and closed the lid. Phone buzzed. Bank deposit alert. Salary from the new firm had cleared early. First month's pay, 30% up, plus a signing bonus. I opened a new Word doc, typed the title in bold, Transition Best Practices, Auth Control. 10 bullet points, straightforward, ironclad.